to see a wide range of people who use the term digital storytelling. And you'll say, you know, okay, that's kind of like it, but it's not. And so I use the analogy that there's a smorgasbord version of people doing digital storytelling with all the high-end equipment and, you know, software, everything. And then we have the picnic version. Because, you know, for me, when I'm working with indigenous peoples, you know, the most important thing is the story, no matter how you get it. And so that's why we use all the free source software. I think the most important thing is to respect that story and that storyteller. Maybe there's a story that Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium can use to help with what's happening in the Great Land here. And so maybe there's a story where creative narrations can help move it. So we can, again, is really trying to share that and empower people.
We're going to be using software that's either free or already included on the computers that you have. And for some of you that might seem like, oh, this software is so simple, I want more options in what I can do. But as you mentioned, it seemed like one of the goals would be to bring this process out into the community. And so as we're going through the training, we'll be using movie editing software, we'll be using photo editing software, and we'll be using audio recording software. And we chose Movie Maker, Audacity, and just Microsoft Photo Editor because everyone who has a computer already has it. They don't have to go and download something special. They don't have to pay $100.
Hello. I'm Laura Revels, and I work for Native People for Cancer Control, and I also work for Aleutian Pribilof Islands Association. I'm currently in the last phase of my cancer treatments and stuff, and I cannot believe how much it changes a person. So what I was last year, I am definitely not that person this year.
My story is the fascinating story of the epicenter.
Wow.
And starting in 1994. I hope that it works okay. We have a scientific advisory meeting coming up in about a month, and we wanted to use the digital story to kind of tell about our highlights over the last year. So it's not a personal story, but it's kind of something we wanted to show that we're going to be doing a digital story training, and this is kind of what it's about.
My story that I wrote last night was about my grandfather and his struggle with Alzheimer's.
And my story that I started writing is about identity, about being biracial, and kind of growing up and skewed to one side and not the other. So I still have a lot of working to do on it, but I started some writing on it.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Jessica?
I am using a bike race that I did last 2 weekends ago. Lots of pictures. It's going to be funny.
And so that's what I love about this. And I just wanted to say that you start where you need to. And so I'm excited to hear about your bike race. So welcome.
I have many ways that I'm thinking to approach a story, and it will be about cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. I come from a long maternal lineage of cancers, very, very, very bad ones, with folks I've never met that died young, that I've only heard stories about. And I've had the fortune of having a long life so far, and I'm hoping that this will help me to pass on stories.
It's not fully fleshed out yet, but I'm gonna bring it around my grandfather, who passed away a year ago, April, and due to cancer, and was a long-term survivor of cancer. So I'm going to interweave that story. But elders face a really daunting challenge in the state of Alaska, as far as Alaska Natives, as well as those who live in rural communities, and that a lot of the services aren't available for them in rural communities. So they have to leave when they get older, have disabilities, and so. Of course, we're problem solving that right now, and I want this to kind of be a tool to help talk about not only the challenge but also the hope.
And I'm going to talk about the birth of my child. I have a 10-month-old, or 11-month-old, I guess, 11-month-old child. So that's what I'm going to talk about.
I'm telling a story actually about my grandmother, and she's actually the only person I know that's passed away from cancer that was really that I knew.
The goal of really collecting digital stories, I think that the timing is very crucial right now with our economic challenges in villages and the cost of fuel, and it's going to change people's health status. And if we can share stories of ways that we're dealing with issues in rural Alaska as well as in urban centers, this is going to give us power as well as collaboration opportunities.
If we break it down into 4 options, preparing a story means you're thinking about what story do you want. If you think about cooking a meal, this is getting your ingredients together, deciding what you want to make, and getting your pieces together, deciding which photos or images you want to use. When we produce our story, we're going to put all of the pieces together using Microsoft Movie Maker. When we publish our stories, that's like cooking it. And that is when we take all of our ingredients in our program and we render it into a final movie. So that kind of gives us a little map of where we're going. If you double click on that folder, I want you to create 4 new folders inside of that one. Okay. One folder you're going to call audio. What do you think we're going to put in our audio folder? Audio?
Video files.
You're going to put your voice, you're going to put your music, you're going to put the sound of the bicycle gears changing, whatever audio files you have, those are going to go into that folder.
I'll be wanting someone to maybe talk it through here in a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Just take your time.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to also encourage you guys to have your own plans for this story. The more time and energy that you put into creating a plan before you sit down and make those decisions on the computer, the easier that part of the process will go.
It's like going back to that cooking analogy. When you're actually in the baking, you don't want to have the spice way over there, and you're going to have, you want to have it kind of, how they have the cooking thing and they have the perfect bowl and it's all clear, perfect amount, and it's all measured. Sort of you have a plan so that when you're in that process, you're not running out of the kitchen or saying, oh, I forgot that. So it makes it smooth and easy.
It doesn't matter how you organize your ideas about what images you want where, it's only important that you have some kind of a plan.
Is Movie Maker, it's not a free program, is it?
It is.
Really?
It's already bundled with XP. Everybody has it.
Really? Do I? So if you have XP, you have it?
If you have XP, you have it.
Oh, cool.
A lot of people don't know they have it, but they have it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
There. Finally, I got it. It's in.
Keep it under 250 though.
That's the work. That's the hard part.
It is. It's harder to cut it down than to build it up. How are you guys feeling right now? Where's your energy at? What are some reactions?
People's stories were really involved and really kind of illuminated a lot about their personalities and their history, and it's something you normally don't do with colleagues.
Having a shorter script means you'll have a shorter narration, and having a shorter narration means you'll have that much less space to fill with images. And since we're doing this as a boot camp kind of schedule, we only have 3 days, and we want to make sure that everybody finishes. And the main thing that we want is everyone to get the skills out of this workshop so that you know how to create more in the future and you know how to explain this process to other people. Don't be doing this to me. I have to start over like 15 times and he's taking my...
Okay, well, let's see. I can't think of my first sentence.
Because if I feel like if I don't explain what the title is and stuff, that this last sentence is not going to make any sense, you know?
So get some rest, take a walk outside, and tomorrow come back with your scripts and whatever images you think you might want to use, and headphones. Okay? All right, and we'll see you tomorrow.
This is the Cafe d'Arte Meaning of Life roast.
Meaning of life. Symbolic life.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Increase the speed of the like during the birthing process. You know?
Moments.
Yeah, moments where all of a sudden it's like it gets really fast and then you can slow it down. You know what I'm saying with that.
And that's where the storyboard comes in.
Okay.
The planning process, so you can kind of see, oh, you know, these pictures fit here, these pictures will fit here, but these pictures, I don't really have a place for them. Even if they're great pictures, maybe you can save them for another.
Okay. Here's my, I have to do it on paper and pen, it's just the way I work. But I have it all.
It wasn't until I was pregnant with my own son that I felt the sadness in my
Yeah,
grandfather's death. I think that's repeating that a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I know that was a significant part, but I get that from that second sentence.
I am worried about the music, though. That's going to be a major deal for me. I am not very tech savvy when it comes to...
Don't worry about that stuff. That's going to come. Just focus on, this is like the meat, like you say, this is really important.
Okay.
That's just the icing on the cake.
I figure the script is.
Yeah.
And the pictures...
The script is definitely important.
I can pull the rest of those together tonight.
Okay. Tell me the battery is not dead. I will be so massively irritated. The battery is dead.
Well, I mean...
You might see we have a grid here with everyone's names, and this is our roadmap right now. It has your names here, and it has all the things that we have to do by tomorrow. Rough cut just means that you've got pretty much everything in place, but you may not have all the transitions, you may not have on any fancy effects going on, but you have something complete. It's just not polished. So we want to make sure that everyone has something complete, that you have your pictures and your audio more or less matched up. And this will make more sense when I show you what Movie Maker looks like. And then you can go in and put in the special effects and the transitions, the titles, if you want to have credits at the end. And after that, we're going to do music or sound effects if you want to do that. You don't need to have music, but if you want that, we can certainly do that. And then at the very end, we're going to do a final movie, and that's like putting it in the oven and baking it.
I tried to change it up a little bit to make it a little more.
I'd love to read it.
Personal. Should I print it? Should I print it? Or?
Yeah, that would be great. Look, this almost looks like blades of grass. So if you were to
start there and pull out.
You feel good about that? You have a script kind of written out that you're.
Well, that's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was just generating with the pictures. I wanted to make sure that I had images that were going to fit what I wanted to say.
As long as you feel like you.
No, I wanted to say that that she was voted.
I think it's perfect, and you really drilled down the story circle. This is gonna be great, and I think when you're reading it too, think about your voice. Okay. something about that maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe a little more
Well, I have
description.
lots of pictures for
Yeah.
that too, so
Yeah.
maybe.
Click on the corner and then just pull it in. And then I can take the other corner, click and pull it in.
Oh! Anybody else want to be empowered? I like how you have this piece here, and it's just in here and here. Yeah.
That works?
It works. Works for me. Yeah. Good. Okay.
You get to put an X?
You get to put an X. An X. An X. That's kind of really nice.
No, I think it sounds really complete.
Okay.
I think you did a really nice job.
Shouldn't go back to this.
Bring it. You don't need to.
Oh, now that is great. That's Kylan. You're gonna share this with them when you get done? Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna love it.
I think it's great.
I know.
Brilliant.
I think with
Look how far you came.
It's different.
It's like from where you first read. Remember what you first read?
That's my quarterly report.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting?
Okay, yeah.
You're bringing it home, but you're not pounding it on the head, but you're
Right.
doing it in a really heart-centered way. You know what I mean?
It's just my personal opinion. I would avoid chunks that have words in them.
Okay, so
Yeah.
instrumental is better.
Yeah, unless sometimes I've seen people. It's totally up to you. It's an art piece. You know, you do what you want to do with it. I know the word art, and sometimes people are like, ah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'll hover over the end, click when I see the red arrow, and drag it till right before that voice starts. And when I let go, it has trimmed that. It hasn't moved everything over. It's actually trimmed some off the edge. And then I click in the middle with the hand. See the hand? Click, and then I see a blue line on the bottom, and that means I can move the whole thing over. So that's how we get our, basically, what we would call a rough cut.
I'd like to introduce you to the 3 S's. That's save, save, save. And I know it's kind of silly, but I'm totally serious.
Yeah.
Saving is really important at this point.
Transitions and special effects are kind of like the spices. And you want to be careful not to over-spice or put too many different kinds of spices into your meal. The most common transitions would be this fade, or this dissolve here, or a straight cut. I'm going to show you guys one more thing, and then I'll let you play.
When my husband and I found out we were going to have a baby, we were clueless. All we knew is that we wanted things to go perfect. So I ate perfect, all organic, all the time.
First books, I cut it down, and then I want to kind of repaste the Michael one again.
You can bring it down as many times as you want. Apples and
Click here or put in something?
Scroll down. I think there's some.
I haven't heard your best thing right now. I can really monkey with it.
It's kind of a short chord.
It's like the factory.
And so instead of moving this over, you're moving this over.
Okay.
So it seems like everyone is in their rough cut, and that's exactly where we needed everyone to be today. So we're right on schedule. We can add the pictures right now.
Add the pictures right now.
Add the pictures right now. Just start dragging them down.
Okay.
That might give you the effect that you're looking for.
Okay, yeah, that might work. Okay, thank you.
You want a one line so that you can fill a whole screen.
First of all, have you play with some of the transitions,
Okay,
and we'll come
and then
back,
get picky.
and then we'll
Okay.
get picky and lengthen that one out. But let me just take a look real quick. You've done really well with this since the story, because I haven't seen it since the story circle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen the narrative.
That might be enough to make it like, that's cool.
Yeah, different color.
Yeah.
Actually brown too.
You can move that slide, because that would be a really effective ending. Let me see. Let me check it. You're doing good. You're on your way. You got time. Relax.
Okay.
Relax. Okay.
And I haven't figured out, like, I can't get it to play without the CD and the CD drive.
Do you think I should play music through this? It's up to you. I mean,
No, it's up to you.
I know, but I don't. I'm not in love with it.
This one, I'm almost wondering. There's one.
I wonder what it would be like if you even kept that up part even during her.
What's that?
Swiping up.
I'm gonna focus in on the key and go out.
And should I zoom, do an ease in on that at the end?
That would be nice. Are you going to do music?
Yeah.
But this one doesn't necessarily need to be there, or this one even doesn't need to be there. I could put that at another point in time.
Right, but they're awesome photos, and I know you're having, like, I want to include them all, and like I really like, and I want to know there's a story about each one of these photos. But
well, I could, and these are a little redundant, so I could easily take one of those out and yeah,
lengthen it out.
Yeah,
and because you're
I mean, it's the same kind of
exactly.
That first one jumped out at me.
Number 10. Yeah, I'm stuck between 10 and 11.
Yeah,
as far as what I want.
My vote's on 10.
Do you like that?
No, not really.
Okay, let's crop that out.
I'm done with my rough. You can mark these off.
You're done with your rough?
Yeah, I'm done too.
Gosh.
Yep, we're ready for music too.
What's up with that?
All right, we should be finishing up soon. Who's done?
Cool.
What do we do with the movie?
Did you figure that out?
He's working on it. In your folder, and then.
That work? It's really great. Oh, it definitely works. It definitely works.
So
Do you want to throw in any like little motion?
No.
No. No. Okay. Okay.
You need more of this stuff.
Okay.
There's nothing there.
I know.
What's the deal? Let me know if you figured that out. Because I'd like to know. Good job.
It's a fun project. I really have enjoyed this.
But I think right now, I think you should just step away from it.
Yeah, because it's starting to bug me.
And it's not your fault. It's all it's the software, and it's like it's this process.
Okay.
That's flawed.
And I just had.
But it's very much a part of it. You know, like how things go. Like it's very much a part of it.
Can have a pretty deep connection with the
Raise the Bar, Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium.
You know, these are amazing.
They really are.
They're going to be amazing. Like,
They are.
really, you guys
They're
did.
top notch, seriously.
Top notch.
Yeah, top shelf.
So, without further ado,
No, just show it.
All right.
And we're gonna go full screen.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It was a dream to some, a nightmare to others. 200 miles, from Sheep Mountain to Valdez. 7 people, 1 goal, the Fireweed Bike Race. 3 were crazy enough to ride the 200 miles on their own. Lynn, our luscious leader, with enough energy to infect us all with the fireweed dream. Rick, the cyclist we all wish to be. A mix of Van de Velde and Berghardt. Look for him in the next Tour de France. And Jason, the newbie endurance cyclist. No hydration pack, no goo, no stopping, no problem. And the domestiques, who rode as a team of 4. Tanya, the organizer, bossy and sweet, who tackled the hills with ease. Connie, the Austrian beast, a strong, unself-proclaimed athlete. Kyla, don't let her fool you. She is uber competitive and hardcore. And myself, Jessica, who had tried to get out of riding the crazy race on numerous occasions. July 12th, 2008, 7 o'clock a.m., the morning everyone was waiting for, race day. It began with gray skies, low clouds, and rain. Do they hold 200-mile bike races on days like this? Of course they do. The race starts strong. All are in high spirits, with hot French press coffee, buttery croissants, and fresh legs. The first 100 miles come and go with relative ease, and then the real race begins. The final 100 miles brings brutal elevation gains, evil headwinds, burning legs, aching necks, and Thompson Pass, the most vertical climb of the day with a final elevation of 2,678 feet. But we ride on to our goal. We keep on spinning to the finish line. We spin to show ourselves that we can. We spin to help others along the way. We spin to make it to Valdez before midnight. And do we make it? Of course we do. Jason and Rick come in at an amazing 10 hours and 34 minutes. And luscious Lynn and her domestiques come in at a magnificent 13 hours and 23 minutes. The Fireweed was more than a bike race. In those 200 miles we discovered what we have in ourselves, what others have in themselves, and what we have together. Spin on.
Today, people are so disconnected that they feel they are blades of grass. But when they know who their grandparents and their great-grandparents were, they become trees, they have roots, they can no longer be mowed down. It wasn't until I started working with Alaska Native people that I think of my roots, that I understood the contrast. These people were very aware of who exactly they were. They lived in villages their ancestors had. They were connected to a past beyond living history. They had roots. They felt real. Where are my roots? I know my stats, half Panamanian, half white. I'm biracial, never brown enough or white enough to fit in, never enough to feel real. I only knew the contours of my blade of grass. I started to ask questions. I discovered my great-grandmother was raised in an orphanage in Bogota, Colombia. She traveled through the dense jungles and across mountains to make her life in Panama. There she met my great-grandfather. His family came from the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa. Native Canarians are the Guanche people, who are thought to be related to the pre-Islamic Berbers of North Africa. These roots are deep and much more vibrant than I could have expected. Understanding this small part of my story has made me feel more connected, more real.
I spend a lot of time talking about mortality rates and presenting bar charts. What I am really talking about is people, lots of them, all added together. To me, they can become anonymous after a while, but when I take a step back, I remember that each unit on the chart is a person, not just a number. A mortality trend line that goes down represents people who are alive today that may not have been if the line had not gone down. Because we know these things, we can celebrate. We discover that tribal health programs are working. The epidemiologists at the epicenter watch to see how the health of people in our communities is changing. We help to answer the question, is the tribal health system making a difference? So, we collect information on cancers and other diseases to see who is being affected. We gather together health data on tribal health regions and share it with those who need it to make decisions about planning and grant making. We help people working in communities and regional hubs to collect their own health data and gather people's thoughts on health issues. We also do training for health professionals and students on how to collect and analyze and use health data. We are not your typical data center. We serve the people of a unique culture. We want what we produce to be useful to our tribes and to meet the needs of our tribal health workers. With that constant connection to these needs, we will remember that our bars and our lines are real. They are the native people of Alaska.
Hey, Gary, I got a big pot of beans on over here. I was just wondering if you want to come over and have some. Okay, 6 o'clock right now. Okie doke. You can come whenever you want to do, okay?
I grew up very close to Grandpa, Emil Gunderson. He had so many stories, so much to teach me. My grandparents' house was always the central spot in our large extended family. From the corned beef soup and fried bread after church on Sunday to Saturdays spent in Grandpa's garage helping mend nets. The highlight, listening to Grandpa's storytelling. Accordion music in the background, playing on the 8-track. Grandpa, originally from Sanak Island in the Aleutians, was a fisherman, raised on the ocean. When I commercial fished with him, he taught me how to tie knots, read the weather, how to know when a storm was coming, how to read the currents and know where to catch the fish. He was a man's man, yet always had a soft touch, a kind word. His life revolved around Grandma Marina, his wife and partner for 64 years. Through their relationship, I learned about commitment, communication, and the importance of taking care of your family. Through his eyes, I was able to see so many things. The curiosity, the humor, the big picture. I also saw the challenges he faced as he got older, when it wasn't as easy to get around. Travel back home to the island, taking a lot more effort, and the issues around healthcare, independence. Grandpa had cancer multiple times in his life, beginning with prostate cancer in his 60s, followed by colon cancer twice in his 70s and early 80s. He was a long-term cancer survivor. He taught me many things, especially to truly live throughout your whole life, the many chapters. Last April, Grandpa left this life as we know it. His joy for life, his stories, and his ability to persevere will continue to inspire me.
When my husband and I found out we were going to have a baby, we were clueless. All we knew is we wanted things to go perfect. So I ate perfect, all organic all the time. I exercised. In fact, I would love to be in half the shape now that I was when I was 8 months pregnant. I stopped using products with parabens. I can't remember what parabens are or why they're bad, but the paraben-free deodorant sucks. That I do remember. My stomach grew and grew and grew. It was time to start thinking about the exit plan. We started to read books, we talked to our doctor, we signed up for childbirth class. Class started and the instructor emphasized that giving birth is the most important day of your life. Everything has to be perfect. Though you'd think it was fairly intuitive, we learned how to breathe. We learned that IVs are bad and medication is worse. Childbirth is natural. They had me at Kumbaya. Weeks passed and we'd neared the end of the course. It was time to watch the videos of actual births. Story after story we watched. Home births, water births, drug-free, happy women gazing into the eyes of their newly born babes, their babes gazing back. It was beautiful. Then it came to the video with a woman who had a C-section. It reminded me of that video they show you in driver's ed, blood runs red on the highway. Look what happened to the woman who didn't wear her seatbelt. Or in this case, the woman who didn't go to childbirth class. The woman was disconnected from her new baby. The baby was disconnected from his mother. She was crying tears of sadness, not joy. Every woman in the room wept. We felt so sorry for her. It was Thursday at 5 p.m. I went to my regularly scheduled doctor's appointment. My doctor asked me the last time the baby had kicked. I thought about it. I couldn't remember. My doctor did an ultrasound. The baby wasn't moving. He needed to get out immediately. I needed an emergency C-section. How could this be happening? I had to drive directly to the hospital. My mind was racing. A team of medical providers were waiting for me. I quickly changed and had at least 6 people around me asking me questions, putting in IVs, putting something in my spine. I was signing consents. There was no time for explanations. I was terrified. What was happening to the most important day of my life? At 6 p.m. my son was born, 1 hour after I found out the news that something was wrong. He was tangled up in the umbilical cord and it had tightened around his neck. He didn't have much time left. Thankful wouldn't begin to explain how I felt. Overjoyed is an unbelievable understatement. Childbirth class got a few things wrong. Moms who have C-sections do love their babies. Babies of C-sections do love their moms. And the birth of my child was not the most important day of my life. Today is.
There he is! Yay!
When I walked into the hospital room where my Nana was laying, she didn't acknowledge me. She didn't know me. She was swollen from steroids, bald from chemo, and semi-conscious and drooling, loaded with pain medication. I left because I realized that was not my Nana. She died shortly after that day. She was 74 years old. But this is not a story about her death. This is a story about her life. If there was one saying that my Nana exemplifies, it would be, today is the most important day of your life. She ate right. She exercised every day. She lived a wonderful, exciting life. This is my Nana. She was a wasp. She flew AT-10s. She flew AT-6s. But I'm sure the PT-17 was her favorite. This is my Nana. She was a wasp. When my Nana was young, she was diagnosed with cancer. We didn't know. She didn't tell us. She discovered Scientology. She said it worked. So Nana and I got to share some more time. And she got to meet my sister. In the end, my Nana died of cancer, but not until she got to live her life.
In honor of my grandfather, I asked my mother and grandmother permission to give my son my grandfather's Yupik name. When I was small, my grandfather helped raise me in the village of Nunamikwa. He chewed up dried fish for me and fed me seal oil when I was sick. He was still a grandpa though, and would walk with me every other day to the local store to go buy me a candy bar. He would catch baby birds and let me keep them as pets. One important thing that my grandfather gave to me was identification with my Yupik culture. If it weren't for him, I would not have the appreciation for native foods that I do, or the desire to learn the fiddle like I saw him play at so many dances. I thought Grandpa was my father until I was 5. My father was in the military and deployed. When my father came to take us home, I cried for my grandfather. I didn't see him again until I was 9 years old. My grandfather developed Alzheimer's disease when I was 16 years old and died in December 2000. It wasn't until I was pregnant with my own son that I felt the sadness of my grandfather's death. If there was just one person I would want my son to meet, it would be my grandfather. When you ask my son, where is Bechjuk, he will smile real big and point at himself, or else he will look behind him and look up. I never believed in spirits, but I do now. I will miss you, Grandpa.
I have been wondering if other women felt any different after their cancer treatments. I have been thinking about this a lot. Am I different? What are my priorities? What do I really want? Yes, I'm different. I am no longer interested in being busy from the time I open my eyes until I close them at night. I am not interested in doing things that don't make me happy. I'm not interested in anything that causes pain. Chemotherapy caused such pain in me. I cried so much, I just couldn't help it. Chemotherapy caused frustration with my life. It messed with my head. I had cancer treatment, not cancer. I was frustrated from acting as if everything was okay when it's not. I was so sick. Frustrated because many times I didn't even want to get out of bed. Frustrated because I'm used to being the strong one and chemo left me weak. Frustrated because I was scared a lot and I just couldn't seem to share that with anyone. Chemo seems to take your fears, your frustrations, and magnifies it. My faith, my sense of humor, and my love for my children are what kept me going, and there is a part of me that wants to put this way behind me. I would love to act as if nothing happened, but I don't think that is possible. Too much has happened. Chemotherapy was one of the toughest things I have ever done in my life. It was tough, and I made it. After going through all of this, I know I will do something. I just don't know what. I do know that I'm no longer content in just surviving.
It is late March, 1982. My husband and I had just pulled up to the Alaska Native Medical Center with our 16-month-old daughter and 3-week-old son to report for duty. I pull myself out of the warm car, reach back in to bundle and gather my son, then slowly make my way to the entrance, slipping and sloshing through what is locally referred to as breakup, while doing my best to remain vertical. As I reach the entrance, I am conscious of a shadow through the windows of the lobby, hastily approaching the same entrance from within. Just as I realize the automatic doors are not working, the door opens and a slight elderly woman with an abundant smile and sparkling eyes motions me inside. I am so grateful and thank her. Still smiling, she raises her eyebrows, turns, and is gone. At that moment, I realized we had connected. A connection made when a need in one is met by another with a selfless act of kindness. An only child, both a daughter and granddaughter of nurses, my decision 8 years prior to apply for an Army scholarship for nursing school seemed natural. The Vietnam War was ongoing. I was drawn there, sensing I would be needed. I would belong. There was a connection. Preparing and practicing in a combat setting provided both the physical and mental challenges I thrived on. Thankfully, the war ended, but the need for nurses began to evaporate and the Army downsized. At the same time, the Indian Health Service offered a commission to my husband and agreed to take me too. Not at all sure if an Army field nurse could adapt to 9 months of cold and darkness, I accepted the assignment and we moved to Alaska. 26 years later, I have grown to appreciate what I have gained from this commitment. My desire to be needed, to be useful, to belong, has never gone unmet. With cancer claiming a grandfather I never knew, my auntie, my 2 twin uncles, and my own mother, I have found a personal link with the native patients and families in Alaska so often struck by this devastating disease. I have learned from them too. Their resilience and strength, gained through supportive, loving, and dedicated families and communities, is a testimony to their faith and their collective spirit. When asked to tell my story to community health aides in training about my own cancer diagnosis, treatment, and experience in 2003, the question put to me most often is, how do you talk to patients who have cancer? What do you tell them? My answer is simple. I don't talk. I listen and smile. I open the door. I connect.